And joining us right now, the Rothman Orthopaedics guest line, former Philadelphia Philly, and for always a 2013 All-Star. Dominic Brown joins the show. What's up, Dom Brown?
What's going on, Mark? Thanks for having me.
My pleasure. I appreciate you taking time out of your day to do this hit with us. Now, first off, I saw a story run on you some time ago about how active in the baseball community that you are in the Philadelphia area, particularly King of Prussia, with the Arsenal, I believe it is. I have some banners here I want to show people so they know where to find you. Arsenal baseball, yeah, right there. And then you can also check out the website right here. I see Jimmy Rollins on here. I see Ryan Howard on here. Tell me a little bit about Arsenal baseball.
Of course. First, I just want to say thank you to all those big league guys for reaching out. All my friends are always there by my side for sure in a time of need. Tri-State Arsenal has been around for the last 20 years. I think 1,100 college players, 15 to the big leagues, one MVP and Mike Trout. And then you add myself to it with MLB All-Star. Philip Cuevas played in the minor leagues with the Phillies, signed from the Dominican, reached out to me 2 or 3 years ago, asked if I wanted to be a part of this unique group that we were setting up. Now we got 6 or 7 ex-pro guys that are coaching. Larry Kleins, Scott Carcasey, Lindy Castillo, ex-Phillies guy, as well. I'm hunting on Todd Frazier. He's in the youth as well with his younger nephew. Todd, we just talked the last couple of days. Let's get it going. But yeah, I'm just trying to connect in the youth. I think for me, I wasn't the best player in baseball. At a certain period of time, I was. So for me, I take that same fire, energy, passion into my everyday life, man. And the Phillies done a phenomenal job, man, of making sure that they develop kids not on the field but off the field as well, man. And so for me, I really tip my hat to the Phillies organization for always making sure that I was a professional on and off the field. I had my moments just like anybody, but for me, I'm trying to take the same concept to the youth.
Are you coaching these kids up like hands-on coaching?
Right. Yeah. Of course. Over the weekends, it's untraditional for me. I seen Bill Dancy and a couple guys that we had as minor league directors rove around, and that's something that I kind of always wanted to do. So over the weekends, I pick my spots on where I go. Philip Cuevas and Lindy and all these other guys, they're the guys that's on the field. I'm the guy that likes to be in the dugout. I like to talk the guys through the at bats. The adversity of hitting, defense, all that stuff. We normally have a head coach and then an assistant, and then myself, like I said, I'll come in and try to sharpen things up throughout the game and talk the game with the kids.
Do you have a coach or a manager anywhere at any point, any level of your career that you find yourself either quoting or thinking about a lot when you're trying to convey messages?
Come on, man. Come on, it's too many to just say. But I mean, if you're gonna have to go, you got to go with the GOAT, Charlie Manuel. Come on. At one point, we showed up to Miami, and Charlie was like, "I'll trade all you guys for Stanton." I'm like, "What? So you want to talk about somebody lighting a fire in you every single day? If you were hitting good, you weren't hitting good enough, and when you were hitting bad, he was picking you up, man. So. I got to say Charlie Manuel, man. I love Ryan Sandberg. I had some guys, Greg Legg, a lot of guys, Kevin Jordan in the minor leagues, Ernie Witt. The list goes on, man. The Phillies do a great job with getting the right coaches to work with the right individuals. And for me, man, that's something that I take into every single day of my life is definitely my coaches. I think that's what happened really on the last couple of years, to be honest with you. I think that with Wally leaving and, me battling some injuries, Jimmy and those guys kind of taking off. Ruben was really close for me, if you know it or not. But, I looked up to all those guys and then kind of looking in the clubhouse. No offense to anybody because we had some great guys, but I don't think that they were Philly guys. The Philly way of doing things, hard 90 on and off the field, making sure that you prepare a certain way. Some of the guys get it, some of the guys don't get it. But, not seeing that with everybody, I tried to put everybody on my back, all 25 guys. And it weighed, man, because I wasn't a big speaker at that time. Over the last 6-7 years, I wanted to know, okay, they sending me down for the last time. What's going on here, Dom? Is it your talent? I said no. Is it your hard work? I said no. And then the education piece, it was like, all right, you got to learn how to communicate, but there's no longer you holding things in. And I'll get there. Just keep playing me. That was my biggest thing. Because all the guys that I was around, that's what they were doing, man. But being around Jimmy, Chase, those guys, man, even Chase, man, he wasn't a big speaker, but when he spoke, everybody listened. Jimmy was the guy that was warning me, let's go. You know what I mean? Let's go, Howard. All those guys, and still to this day, those guys are still doing the same thing. So for me, to sleep and live a successful life, I had to learn the communication aspect of life, period. And that's something that I always battled with, man. I just put it in handcuffs now and look forward to some opportunities. But for me, I'd rather just play, and that's something that I had to really, really learn how to make sure that I'm communicating. And that's why these last couple of years for me has been very special.
So let's unpack that for a second, because we could go back to that incredible 40-game stretch in 2013 that you played your way to the All-Star. I mean, you could go over the numbers, and I'm sure you know them by heart. You averaged a home, like 10, not even. I think it was 8.8 at bats per home run. Like every 8.8 at bats, you were hitting a home run, which is incredible. You hit 324, 17 home runs in total. All the numbers are insane. To go through that period, when you harken back to that, when you think about that stretch of your career, why were you having that amount of success? What was working for you then, besides what seemed like everything?
Yeah, everything was working at that point of time. But, my coaching staff, having Steve Henderson, great motivator, not saying that Steve don't know anything about hitting, but when it came to the motivational piece, that dude had it. I would run through a wall for him, had Charlie there as well, run through a wall for him, Ruben. We would see him every day down in the clubhouse. We loved that aspect of it. He was a baseball guy, still is a baseball guy. And then you had Wally Joyner, where Wally was like, at times Dom wanted to hit after the game. At times Dom wanted to do all of that stuff. And he was like, no, go home, get some rest. All right, get bored at what you're doing. I was too creative, man. I go in and I'm hitting off the tee and I'm trying to fix stuff that ain't broke and all this stuff. And 13, it wasn't that, man. I had all the right pieces to line up for Don Brown. And then now some of those guys go away and they give me the keys to the vehicle and I don't know how to drop a stick shift. All right. So for me with Wally leaving, not blaming it on that. I'm just telling you that it's time for Dom to take the diaper off, or take, you know what I mean? It's time for Dom to take the training wheels off. It shouldn't matter who's there. And I couldn't do it. I couldn't do it for 162. I worked out like crazy, which is phenomenal, but at the same time, like, everybody's coordinating the schedule for you. Right? Like that was my biggest thing when I got done with this thing is Tom, you coordinate your schedule. Your parents don't have to do it. I had everything lined up, man, and most of the guys do. When I talk to guys in the big leagues now, it's like, bro, you create those relationships. Don't let anybody else do that. Right? I had Scott Boras, like when it came to Nike, Rawlings, all these things, they coordinated every single thing that Don Brown, my eating, I wasn't cooking anything, chef this and that, everything's coordinated for you in the big leagues, and that's great. But how about those relationships? So for me, like, I go back to the relationships, and I seen that was the biggest thing that was making Don Brown go. And if I ever talk to anybody, some of those young guys right now, Scott Stott and Alex Bloom and all those guys, that's what I would talk to them about. Let your agent do his job. Let the guys around you do their job, but build those relationships yourself. And I guarantee you're gonna have some success, especially playing in Philly, man, because we got the best fans in the world.
Now, when you say build the relationships, are you talking about from a business aspect? Are you talking about on the field, in the clubhouse?
And that's what I'm saying. I'm talking about all aspects of life, period. I'm talking about the business aspect with your contracts hey, I was on those Nike trips as well, Kutch, all of these guys, 15, 16 guys, you're going every year, Griffey. I was building some relationships in that regard. But when it came to the baseball aspect of it, not so much. On the field, guys, I wish that I would have hung out with a lot more. I didn't do a lot of that, which is crazy because I was around them every day, but I still wasn't given what was deep down inside on what was going on. That aspect of the game as a young kid, I remember sitting in some of those meetings later on with your Chases, your Jimmys, your Cole Hamels, Cliff Lees, and they were asking Dom what the young guys are talking about. And, for me, the young guys were trying their best to find their way to get to Cole and Chase and all these guys. But, they were intimidated. At one point, we probably had $500-600 million guys. I don't know how many of them to be exact, but, you're getting $1 million every 2 weeks, dude. Guys are gonna be intimidated of
right.
you.
Right.
Young guys, we gotta speak up, young guys. Like, it's nothing wrong with that. The game is totally different. I think I was in that last group of guys that, I was 22 when I got called up. That was like you're 19 now, right?
Right.
All these guys are cooler and all these guys are changing the game. And I know on a business aspect, it looks great because you get a lot of years. But with that being said, young guys, speak up, guys. Speak up in the clubhouse, in the dugout. We seen it with Alex early, right? He spoke his mind, and Philly got right on the train with him, man. I saw that, and I knew exactly what was gonna happen. People were like, "Dom, you crazy? Philly gonna get on the back with you if you speak up.
Right.
If you quiet, if you Ben Simmons it, you know what I mean? Like, that's what made me want to come back. Like, I love Ben, but at the same time, like, guys, we gotta learn how to speak out. A lot of the fears that you think that's going on ain't really what's going on. If you speak up on it, you'll see that none of that stuff in your head is what's really going on. I played here, top prospect, still, one of the only #1 prospects and all this stuff, ranked high and all that good jazz. But at the same time, if you don't have a voice, what do you have? And I would run through a wall for a lot of people. I mean, my last play in the big league, you flipping over the wall, like doing all this crazy stuff. And it's like, man, speak out on what you're feeling so that team can get behind you, man.
So the communication aspect of it, the veterans would try to trust you a little bit to say, hey, what are the young guys talking about? How much does it help? How much does it help for a guy like Bryson Stott? Bryce Harper's hurt right now, but how much does it help a guy like Bryson Stott to know that he's got another Vegas guy in his corner like Bryce Harper kind of banging the drum for him?
Right. No, that's everything. And I put money on it. That's probably why he's had some success in the big leagues, having somebody like Bryce. Bryce get it. You know what I mean? Being called up at 19, he gets it. I'm so happy to have him in Philly because he's probably went through everything that you could go through in the game already. And then he's still, 28, 29, however young he is. He's able to give it to these young guys. And that's awesome to have in Philly. With him out the lineup right now, we're hurting a little bit. We just lost 3 tough ones to Chicago. But, with having that guy as the leader, we're in for some great things with these youth guys. But they, like I said, these other guys that's unfamiliar with Harper, you know what I mean? He got his own shoe and all this stuff. A lot of the guys, they're looking at all these treats, all these goodies. You sit in the clubhouse and you're watching that, and you're seeing this Rawlings deal and bats and all this stuff that a lot of guys don't talk about. Guys need to start coming over and dreaming a little bit with it. That because with me being around Howard, Chase, and all these guys, you would see all the bats and all this stuff, and it made you want to play better. You know what I mean? I think the same thing with Joe Girardi. For myself, that would have been a perfect guy for me to play with, man, because bringing that old school dynamic in with a little new school twist, it didn't work out quite as well what we wanted it to be. Tom's coming in right now. I heard Switch talking about, him being able to give him to relax. That's tough, man.
Right.
Switch got a V8 engine. You know what I mean? To be able to give that man some breaks, speaks volume. So when I heard him talking about that yesterday on the air, it made me really, tune in and listen up to what we got going on since Joe has left. I think Nick said it the best too with somebody getting fired, man, it makes you want to tighten up. You know what I mean? You know,
Yeah,
those changes. You understand what I'm saying, Mark?
yeah, it could be the fire lit under you, as you were referencing earlier. As far as Nick Castellanos goes, he had a little back and forth with a reporter, and he has been booed in
Oh, Jim
Philadelphia.
Salisbury.
Yes, Jim, and I think it's a legit question.
Jim's the man. Jim's the man. Nick's the man too, but Jim's the man. He's been here. He's trying to tell you straight up. This is how we do it in Philly. You know what I mean? I love Nick too and what he's bringing to the table. But in Philly, hey, you got to stand up a little bit. You know what I mean?
So one of the things Nick Castellanos said that wasn't in the original clip that was released by Jamie Apodi of 6ABC was the line about, I don't have to comment about that, or I don't think I have to comment about that, meaning the boos. How should a player take it? How should a player respond to it? Especially when, look, the numbers are out there. We're all watching. We know the struggles are there. So how should a player respond to that?
So you have the player, you have the media, and then you have the fans. That's the three. This is how I always looked at it now. So you wonder, how the heck Dom talking about that? This is how. So for me, I know that I had those three. Myself, the media, and then I had the fans. If I speak up, Mark, then now I can make sure that my voice is being spoken out to with the fans and the media. If I don't speak up, Jim can write what he wants. The fan can have their own outlook on Dominic Brown. So for me, no matter if I struck out 4 times or if I was 4 for 4, like I said, there's certain things, and Nick's unbelievable. One of my favorite players to watch on our ball team. But with that being said, there's some ways here in Philly that you have to get accustomed to. And that's all that Jim was saying. Listen, I'm gonna write the story, Nick. You can speak out on it, or I'm gonna write it. I'm gonna write it regardless. And now the fans are, hey, it's the same way I talk to my kids. Son, you got a voice. My daughters, you have a voice. Mommy, daddy have their own opinion. One of them might be right, both might be right. But if you speak out on it, now both sides. You understand what I'm saying? And that's what I would tell Nick if I'm the PR guy. We got Kevin Gregg back in the building from Boston. So I know I'm pretty sure on what Kevin's talking to him about. Maybe he isn't. I don't know. But for me, that's how I would approach it, is that it's always 3 sides. And I would rather have my own voice, the same way that I talked about earlier with this relationship stuff. When you have your own voice, now all of a sudden some things change. And, Nick's the ultimate pro. But, here in Philly, it is done a little bit different. And I just think, like I said earlier, man, we got the most unique but the best fans in baseball, man. And when you learn how it works here, and not saying that he needs to change anything, keep doing your thing, Nick. But there's a couple different sides to it, man. And get up, answer those questions, man. They might be difficult. You might think that they're not the best questions, but Jim got to ask these things. He's been around for a long time, really professional guy, and he knows that if you do it, you're gonna be all right.
So it sounds like, Dominic, from what you said earlier about Alec Boehm, what he had to say when he made those 3 errors at third base some months ago, I bleep and hate this place. He stood right there in the clubhouse in his locker and said, I don't hate this place, but yes. So in other words, kind of own it. Own your struggles and own your response. And
everything's taken care of, Mark. I only came back to Philly because I didn't get 10 years in the big leagues, man. I was scared to death, all right? Because for me, I didn't get my dream accomplished, right? I didn't really know what that really meant at the time, but now being in the youth, that let me know that, all right, standing up for yourself, 0 for 4, 4 for 4. Now a guy like Jim, I put money on it. If he see me today, he going to say, man, you stood up for yourself, man. You might not have had your 10 years, but you probably was one of the best guys to work with. Those are the things that, like I said earlier, the youth building those relationships, because you don't know. Nick he got a bag, as us young guys would say. He got a good contract, right? And that's all great. But at the same time, now after baseball or your kids coming up, right? All this stuff is happening, and then now 20 years later, your kids seeing this interview and going over this stuff with social media and all this. I'm thinking about all that. So if I take care of the relationship, like I said earlier, job's done. Mark, job's done, Mark. It covers every area. That's what you want. You want to be able to cover every area that is, because you ain't gonna always perform well. Bottom line, you ain't gonna always perform well. And when you're not, your teammates looking. Jimmy and those guys looking. You know, I always say I got 2 or 3 bats that I break a year across the knee. All right, I try to limit that, you know, because I know that they're 160 a pop, even though we ain't paying for them. But at the same time, you see what I mean? The mindset of the relationship building, right? You're gonna always come back to this point, and you're gonna be fine if you do it that way. And Nick's a great dude, man.
Right. Okay. All right. Well, when you are going through struggles, and you referenced earlier going through your own struggles, watching other players go through their struggles, what can you do as a player to try to pull yourself out of that slump?
The relationships, your teammates are what's gonna help you get through that. All right. Like the more you speak out on it, the more you're gonna be able to get help.
Okay.
That's what this generation now, they're learning a lot better than us older guys, right? Where we would say, I'm gonna hit my way out of it, I'm gonna swing my way out of it. That's all great, but you know, with the knowledge and information that I got now, I can take 5 swings in the cage where I would have took 300, 400 swings to feel it. Not to actually know what I'm doing, Mark, but to feel what I was doing. And that feeling will get you prepared in spring training. Now some of the guys coming right off the jump. Bryce Harper right off the jump this year, right? Because he's getting more information, not off of feel, off of what's really going on, right? Your hit tracks, rapsodos, all this stuff. You take a couple swings and you know exactly that feeling, and you see it on paper. We ain't have that. We going into spring training off the tee, front toss, little machine, right? And you're chasing that feeling, and the good guys can feel it. The other guys, you know, I'll find it here and there, and boom, and then it goes away because you don't know what you're doing. You know what I mean? You're finding it off of hard work instead of finding it off the education, man. And that's the thing. But when you're in these slumps, your teammates, man, your upbringing, whoever you talked to when you were brought up, coaches, parents, but your teammates, man, you're around those guys from 1, 2 o'clock to 11 o'clock every day. On the road, 3 o'clock to 11:30 every day. Them relationships that you build in the clubhouse, maybe they can look at me and see that something ain't right with Dom. But Dom's so stubborn that maybe I'll talk to him and give it to him a little bit after that. Well, Jimmy's going to come right up to you and tell you, hey, bud, pick it up. Come on. But the other guys, maybe not so. But if Dom was willing in this particular area, and this is what I'm telling you that I was missing, when you're down in the dumps, Dom's saying, just keep me in the lineup. I'm going to produce. That's how I was raised. But now as I've gotten older, I've gotten smarter, right? And I started to understand that if I speak out and use these relationships, everything's covered. Okay. Everything's covered. That's what it's all about.
To bring it back to this current team again, what do you foresee for the rest of the season for this Philadelphia Phillies ball club? Will they make a wild card? Do you think they'll just stay in the hunt? What do you see for them?
I think they're making the wild card. You know, I believe in the Philly way. I believe in the Phillies, especially now, man. With these, I feel like we got, you know, enough veterans on the club, but also having some young guys in the mix. I think the bullpen is going to be fine as well, and our starting pitchers is going to be good. I think that we're going to be in the playoffs this year. When's the last time? 11, 12?
2011.
Jeez. Yeah, I think that we're definitely going to be in the playoffs this year.
All right. Dom Brown, great catching up with you, man. Seriously, I really enjoyed this conversation. And make sure you guys check out all things Arsenal Baseball. Of course, Tri-State Arsenal Baseball. You can follow him on Instagram right here. And also check out the website as well, Tri-State Arsenal. And you guys can look at all that stuff with Dom Brown and the rest of the Tri-State Arsenal and all Dom Brown's teams. Dominic, this was an absolute pleasure, man. Thanks so much for joining me.
Mark, thanks for having me, man. Let's catch up